In 2018, a car with no one at the wheel struck and unalived a pedestrian. In a German factory, a robot grabbed a worker and crushed him against a metal plate. These aren't scenes from some sci-fi horror movie. This is happening right now. We've all been promised a future revolutionized by artificial intelligence. A world that's safer, more efficient, and more connected. But while we're being told AI will change the world for the better, it's already here, and in some cases, its mistakes are fatal. We've handed over life and death decisions to algorithms, and that code is being written faster than we can possibly understand its consequences. Today, we're not talking about hypotheticals. We're investigating the tragic, documented, and frankly terrifying stories of what happens when that code goes catastrophically wrong. This is AI flawed code. Welcome back to Mentor's Mindset. Let's start on the streets of America, where the dream of the self-driving car has repeatedly collided with a brutal reality. The promise was simple: a future with fewer accidents, where human error is engineered out of the equation, but the very technology designed to save lives has now been linked to taking them. Tesla's autopilot system is probably the most famous example, and it's been at the center of a huge debate. It's officially a Level 2 automation system, which means the driver is supposed to remain fully engaged. But the name itself, autopilot, suggests a level of control that's proven to be dangerously misleading. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, Teslas on autopilot have been involved in hundreds of crashes since 2019. A Washington Post analysis of that data found links to 736 crashes and at least 17 fatalities. A more recent NHTSA investigation that wrapped up in April 2024 linked the system to 489 crashes and 14 casualties, concluding that while drivers were often misusing the system, Tesla's weak driver engagement system didn't do enough to make sure they were paying attention. And these victims aren't just statistics. They include motorcyclists hit from behind and drivers who slammed into stationary fire trucks. This isn't just a Tesla problem either. The first ever recorded fatality caused by a fully autonomous vehicle happened back in 2018, when a self-driving Uber test car failed to identify a pedestrian in Tempe, Arizona, and struck and killed her. The core issue is that these systems, for all their sophistication, still choke on what developers call edge cases. Rare or weird scenarios that a human driver navigates with instinct, but an algorithm only knows what it's been trained on. When it sees something it has never seen before, the results can be devastating. The dream of a perfectly safe, autonomous road is still a long way off, and these incidents are a grim reminder of the lives caught in the gap between ambition and reality. It's not just our cars. The code making life-altering decisions has also seeped into our justice system. Picture this: it's January 2020. Robert Williams is at his home in a Detroit suburb when police cars swarm his driveway, blocking him in. He's arrested on his front lawn, in front of his wife and 2 little girls, for a crime he didn't commit. He was held for 30 hours in a crowded, dirty detention center. The charge? Stealing thousands of dollars in watches. The evidence? A single blurry surveillance photo that had been run through a facial recognition system. This was the first known case of a wrongful arrest in the US based on a bogus facial recognition match. The technology, which police used to compare a grainy photo to a database of driver's license pictures, simply got it wrong. The Detroit police chief at the time even admitted that if used by itself, the technology misidentifies people about 96% of the time. And Mr. Williams isn't alone. Since his arrest, at least 6 other people have reported being wrongfully arrested because of this technology, and advocates worry the real number is much higher. Study after study has shown these algorithms are far less accurate for people of color. A landmark study by the National Institute of Standards and Technology found that false positive rates were dramatically higher for both Asian and black faces compared to white faces. This isn't a simple software glitch. It's a systemic failure. This tech is being rolled out with almost no meaningful oversight, and a match is being treated as enough evidence to arrest someone. Robert Williams had his life turned upside down because an algorithm made a mistake. He was eventually cleared, but the trauma for his family is permanent. His story shows how AI can become a tool for turbocharging human bias, creating a high-tech pipeline to wrongful incarceration. Now, what happens when AI is put in charge of your health? In 2012, IBM announced something that sounded like a miracle, Watson for Oncology. It was billed as a revolutionary AI that would sift through massive amounts of medical research and patient records to give doctors personalized, evidence-based cancer treatment plans. The idea was to give every doctor the expertise of a world-class cancer center. But behind the slick marketing, the system was dangerously flawed. Internal documents leaked to Stat News in 2018 revealed a shocking truth. IBM's Watson was recommending unsafe and incorrect cancer treatments. In one stunning example, it recommended a drug that could cause fatal bleeding to a patient who already had severe bleeding. So, how did it go so spectacularly wrong? The investigation found that Watson wasn't learning from real-world patient data, like IBM claimed. Instead, it was being fed hypothetical cancer cases created by engineers at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. This means the AI's recommendations weren't based on what actually worked for millions of patients. They were just reflecting the opinions of a handful of doctors. It was a high-tech echo chamber. Doctors at other hospitals who were supposed to be using the system were privately telling IBM it was useless and that its recommendations were frequently wrong. The system that was supposed to revolutionize medicine became a case study in the dangers of hype and hubris. While IBM says it has since improved its Watson Health products, the initial failure shattered trust in AI for healthcare. It was a terrifying warning. When an AI plays God but is trained on flawed scripture, the consequences can be disastrous. Think about the last time you applied for a job. There's a pretty good chance an AI saw your resume before any human did. It screens your application, analyzes your video interview, and decides if you're even worthy of human consideration. But what if that AI is a bigot? That's exactly what happened at Amazon. The company built an AI recruiting tool to sort through job applications. The problem was, it was trained on 10 years of Amazon's own hiring data, which reflected the tech industry's very male-dominated culture. As a result, the AI literally taught itself to be sexist. It penalized resumes that included the word women's, like women's chess club captain, and it downgraded graduates from 2 all-women's colleges. Amazon eventually had to scrap the whole project, and this is not a one-off. The HR tech company Workday is facing a massive class-action lawsuit claiming its AI screening tools discriminate against applicants who are black, over 40, or have a disability. The lead plaintiff says he was automatically rejected from over 100 jobs he applied for through Workday's system. In May 2025, a judge gave the green light for the age discrimination part of the case to proceed as a collective action, which could involve millions of people. The bias goes beyond jobs. An AI-powered tenant screening system was caught systematically discriminating against Black and Hispanic renters who used housing vouchers, leading to a major lawsuit and settlement. The fundamental problem is this: AI learns from the data we feed it. If that data reflects our own historical and societal biases, the AI won't just learn them, it will amplify them at a massive scale. It becomes a digital gatekeeper, locking entire groups of people out of jobs and housing, all while hiding behind a mask of technological neutrality. When you look at all these cases, the car that can't see a person, the algorithm that jails the innocent, the AI doctor giving deadly advice, and the biased recruiter, a few frightening patterns start to emerge. First, there's the problem of bad data. Whether it's a hiring algorithm trained on a decade of sexist decisions or a medical AI trained on fake patients instead of real ones, the lesson is painfully clear. These systems are just pattern recognition machines. If the patterns they learn are flawed, their decisions are guaranteed to be flawed too. Second, there's a stunning lack of human oversight. Again and again we see people putting way too much faith in the machine, accepting its output as gospel. Police getting arrest warrants based only on a facial recognition match is a perfect example of this automation bias. The human guardrails are being taken down way too fast. And finally, we're failing to think through the consequences. In a truly bizarre case, Air Canada was recently ordered by a court to honor a refund policy that its own support chatbot just completely made up. Air Canada actually tried to argue in court that the chatbot was a separate legal entity responsible for its own actions. The court, thankfully, didn't buy it. This perfectly highlights the issue. We're unleashing these incredibly powerful systems without fully understanding how they'll behave or who is responsible when they inevitably mess up. Look, these stories aren't an argument that all AI is evil. They're a wake-up call. They're an argument for caution, for humility, and for a deep sense of responsibility. AI holds unbelievable promise, but it's not magic. It's a tool, and like any powerful tool, it can be used to build or to break. The code itself isn't good or evil, but its consequences are very, very real. The difference between the future we want and a dystopian nightmare lies in our willingness to build our ethics into our algorithms, to demand transparency and accountability, and to never, ever outsource our own humanity. But that's what we think. What do you believe is the biggest danger of AI? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this gave you something to think about, please like, share and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation.